During the First World War, Oxford, both the university and the town surrounding it, was in turmoil, like the rest of Great Britain. Both students and citizens were rapidly enlisting, and college buildings were being used for training as hospitals and to house refugees from the war-torn European continent. The change was, to say the least, disconcerting, not just for those who knew the once peaceful university town well, but even for those who were new to it. The effect of the war here is much more startling than I could have expected, and everything is very homely and out of order, wrote Clive Staples' Jack Lewis to his father, Albert Lewis, 2 days after his arrival at Oxford University on April 26, 1917. 18-year-old Jack had long dreamed of attending the university, but when he arrived that spring, it was with the knowledge he would not be there long. He was there for academic reasons. He had won a scholarship to University College, one of the several colleges that make up the university, and he began his studies there immediately after arriving, but also for military reasons. He was to join the Officers' Training Corps just 4 days after his arrival, and by October, he would be in the Army. Meanwhile, 23-year-old Dorothy Lee Sayers had arrived in Oxford the very day after Lewis had. The same April Saturday that found Jack writing to his father found Dorothy writing to her parents as well, to tell them about her new living arrangements at 17 Long Wall Street. The staircase window looks upon New College Chapel, and the garden is tucked in under the old walls, so I am rather jollily placed as far as Oxford goes. The life of the mind. At this point, Dorothy and Jack were living less than half a mile from each other. Yet they were at opposite ends of their college careers. Dorothy had finished her studies in modern languages in 1915 at Somerville College, achieving first-class honors in French. However, Jack would still receive the first of his degrees before Dorothy received hers. Oxford University, as I mentioned earlier, did not grant degrees to women when Dorothy was going to college. They only changed their policy in 1920. When they did, Dorothy was in the first group of women to receive them. After graduation, Dorothy had tried teaching for a while, but didn't like it. Attempts to train as a nurse didn't work out either. Restless and searching for a truly satisfying job, she had come back to Oxford in this spring of 1917 to work as an apprentice to publisher Basil Blackwell, who was then running his family's publishing and bookselling business there. That business happened to have already published Dorothy's first book, a volume of poems titled simply Op. 1 in 1916. It was part of a series of books by young poets titled Adventurers All, which, as we will see, could not have been more appropriate for this particular young poet. It made perfect sense that Dorothy would return to Oxford. Even though she found the idea of an academic career stifling and boring, she nonetheless loved the place with a passion. All her life she was proud of having been born in the university town, where her father, the Reverend Henry Sayers, had been headmaster of the Cathedral Choir School. "I am a citizen of no mean city," was the beginning of the first sentence of her unfinished memoir, My Edwardian Childhood, applying Paul's words about Tarsus in Acts 21, verse 39, to her own illustrious birthplace. She used the quote again in Gaudy Night, considered by many her greatest novel, largely set at the university, and went on to add, "It might be an old-fashioned city, with inconvenient buildings and narrow streets where the passers-by squabbled foolishly about the right-of-way, but her foundations were set upon the holy hills, and her spires touched heaven." At the age of 4, Dorothy had moved with her family from Oxford to Bluntisham, a small country parish where her father was to become the new rector. But in some ways she never stopped considering herself a citizen of Oxford. The beauty and the stateliness of the place stayed with her, and something more, the love of learning that the university represented to her.